Turns out that officials in Kentucky have taken some pretty drastic measures to ensure a man who does have coronavirus remain in quarantine. So in Kentucky, novel coronavirus patient checked himself out of the hospital against medical advice. So to prevent him from spreading the virus, officials are literally surrounding his house to keep him there. So this is the kind of stuff that I think is gonna alarm some Americans because it sounds like big government and they're getting too involved in your day-to-day life and they're forcing you to stay home. But it's probably for the best because spreading the virus would be a disaster, not only for the individuals who have contracted it, but if we overwhelm the healthcare system, then a lot of people are gonna die. So I understand the reasoning behind it. Now, Kentucky's governor, Andy Beshear, said, "It's a step I hope that I'd never have to take, but I can't allow one person who we know has this virus to refuse to protect their neighbors." So what does this forced quarantine look like? Well, the Nelson County Sheriff told the Kentucky Standard that deputies will park outside of the man's home for 24 hours a day for 2 weeks. The patient is cooperating now. I'm guessing most people would cooperate if there's like officials parked.
Guns trained on your front door.
And by the way, a judge explained, quote, "This is about us, not about I, so quarantine is a must. If we have to, we'll do it by force." So just keep in mind that that is an option that is already being implemented in some places around the country.
Yeah, there's no I in quarantine except for the I.
Yep.
I think that this should be like a windfall for the anti-termite, like infestation folks. You know that industry?
The guys who tent your house?
Yeah, just tent the house.
Yeah.
Tent that house. Also, and am I the only one saying like, where's the drone technology? Like, remember when Amazon was gonna deliver us everything by drone and how wonderful that was gonna be? And we were all like, that's a horrible dystopian future world. Now that we're in it, where are the drones?
Well,
where are the drones?
This is the terrifying kind of thing that a pandemic like this can cause, is where once you kind of allow this kind of thing, and like we're probably not that far off from like drones just flying around your house and enforcing some sort of, like, I'm not saying that
like
this individual decision is not sort of justified, but once that happens, it doesn't usually roll back. It usually stays. That reality usually stays. I mean, okay, like obviously we should all do like what we can to quarantine and all that stuff. One person like probably isn't gonna make the difference at this point. Like it's out there, it's already out there.
Well, look,
it's a thing. Like,
it seems like a huge. About this story, there was a man in Seattle who had coronavirus, and so officials told him you need to quarantine, and so he was doing self-quarantine, but they would check in on him to make sure that he was actually following through. And then he went to a party because he couldn't take it anymore, and he's like, I gotta go to the party.
Yeah.
And so, look, I know it seems like, oh, it's one person, but think about the number of interactions one person can have in any given day. So I understand the reasoning here. And by the way, Nando, there's actually a law already. Like there's been a law that allows the authorities in Kentucky to do this. So Kentucky law gives the Cabinet for Health and Family Services the power to declare and strictly maintain quarantine and isolation as it sees fit. And by the way, under the Commerce Clause of the Constitution, a president can issue an executive order authorizing isolation or quarantine for several contagious diseases, including severe acute respiratory syndromes like COVID-19.
Can they shoot him if he just like runs out of his house?
I don't think that's in the Constitution. I don't think so.
Just like a sleeper dart or whatever. I do think that Nando's right. And I mean, I keep on thinking about comparing China to the US and how China's response eventually was effective and seems like it has been effective. There has been a huge clampdown on, of course, journalists, anyone spreading any kind of information over the internet, huge authoritarian crackdown, dragging people out of their homes, dragging people back into their homes, disappearing people, questioning them for hours. Like, Trump only wishes that he were as organized of an authoritarian as President Xi Jinping in China. Like he wants to do that to the US, right? And so I think this is the moment to also think about like, yeah, what would our ideal society, our ideal democracy, how would we react? What would it look more like Denmark, or would it look like, Italy, where there's a 60 euro fine versus a 150 euro fine in Spain? So like,
I just think
France.
we need to nationalize Netflix.
Yeah,
for sure.
And,
give it for free.
Amazon Video.
Free
and
Netflix for all.
HBO Now or HBO Go, whichever digital.
That's why we have to keep the elderly alive, is because they're the ones giving us the passwords to these things.
Yeah, exactly.
Any of us would have HBO Go without someone over 65? Come on.
No, but we need to make staying at home a little more
fun.
Yeah, a little more fun.
Yeah.
So I look, I'm not being serious, but kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Make
wouldn't be the worst idea.
Seem happy.
Yeah. But look, if officials are going this far in Kentucky, I don't think that it's unlikely to happen in other places around the country. I think that both local and federal government officials are taking this a lot more seriously. And I don't even think the worst has happened yet, because remember, widespread testing still isn't available in the United States.
We have no idea how many people have it.
Exactly. And so I don't really know how bad this is gonna get. I just don't think that we've hit the worst portion of this pandemic yet in our country.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.